Starting there it is. Yeah, I just realized that it was Super Bowl day today, and
Yeah.
my buddy had just called me right in between breaks on that, and he was like, "It's probably gynocentric in his nature, but he's such a blue pill guy that he doesn't realize it's gynocentric in his nature." His son was supposed to come over today,
Mm.
and for the Super Bowl, and we all used to do these Super Bowl events. Oops, let me turn that off. Yeah, I forgot to do the thing. So
Yeah.
he's his son just canceled out on him. He went and bought all these steaks and these great things and party dips probably, and expecting this day to happen, and it's not. It's just he's like bumming now. This isn't going to happen.
Really. Super Bowl is off.
Yeah, Super Bowl is off. I can only imagine for a young kid. His son is the same age as my son, maybe a year younger, so he's 23. The only thing that could keep a 23-year-old away from the Super Bowl is what?
Tail.
Tail.
Uh,
I couldn't even. You know, I didn't even know if I could imagine when I was that age missing a sporting event of that magnitude because of tail.
it's a tough call. It's a
It would be a real tough call, wouldn't it? It's like, oh, my friends are sitting around drinking beer and eating them really great little chips with the dip and everything, and I'd be like, sit here with her and listen to her talk about her cat, or go to the Super Bowl. That'd be a no-brainer for me now. It's like, see ya, lady.
these days you've had a lot of we in the past decade or two, it's been a huge phenomenon of like women embracing sports, and so they think that they hang with the guys now, right?
Yeah,
They go hang with the guys at the sporting events and everything, whatever.
yeah. There was a push by the NFL to do family friendly, and they got this family friendly thing going now. But that's just woman friendly, isn't it? And that's what they were shooting at, the market of getting women to go buy tickets, and the pink
Exactly.
the pink football shirts and everything, and then they made it. Who is that? Jessica Valente or one of those Steinman is in charge of making the.
Gloria?
Yeah, Gloria Steinman is in charge of making the NFL less violent to women, and it's like,
Oh my
gee,
God.
and now we see. But you see men moving away from that thing too. The sports, that masculine, image, the icon of the American football player. They're as much as they start bringing, and women are terrible sports fans. I mean, they will absolutely not buy season tickets, or they might watch a game and they're picking the teams who's going to win based on the shirt color. Like, the guys in the red are so going to win because it's a red shirt, and I like red. You know.
Yeah, I find it a lot of insincere. That's really insincere. They're doing it to get at guys, right? The whole point is to get.
Yeah, to get into the male space and
Yeah,
kind of experience that thing, and then in that they're screwing it up
as usual.
as usual. As par, there are no more male spaces. Yeah.
Just like they're messing up Bitcoin.
hmm Oh, they're trying to get into that too now, huh? They're gonna feminize Bitcoin. What do you think? How would they do that? How would they go about ruining Bitcoin? They just kind of make it into the dollar, so they can buy shoes.
I mean, they just want to cut to the pie is the bottom line. They can
They
see,
want.
they sniff out the money, and there will be a lot of money going in that direction over the next few years, and they want to make sure they're there so that they
They're
can.
set and
Yeah,
they know about it, because it was kind of a hidden secret, Bitcoin, for now. When how do you extract Bitcoins? You know, I
right.
suppose, yeah,
Well,
they'll
yeah,
figure out
that's
where to spend it. Show us how to spend it.
overstock.com,
Overstock.com, where we can get oh, I don't,
Slitcoin. He says that again.
Bitcoin. Yeah, that is funny. Yeah. Oh my
Slitcoin
God.
indeed.
Yeah. Was Bitcoin was it like a male thing? Totally. or they
Oh,
just
I mean,
perceive
it's
it as a male thing, and then when they learned about it, it must have been the patriarchy that was hiding this thing from them.
well, that's what they spin it now. Absolutely, it's I just can't. They do now. They come in. It's a Johnny come lately scenario.
Yeah.
You had all these guys slaving away with code and hacking all 24 hours. And you had this brilliant, whoever it was, Satoshi Nakamoto, whatever, presumably a guy, invent the whole thing, which is super technical and complex, and and then just like with the gaming community and computers and Comic Con and everything, once it starts to get some money running through it, like, oh, I gotta go be a part of Bitcoin now. Oh yeah, we invented that shit. Women invented.
uh, oh my gosh, yeah. They're where there's resources, they're going to seek it out, and that's what we say around here. Hide your resources. Bitcoin was a way to do that. Now it's as soon as it'll be introduced as a method of payment pretty soon to Health and Human Services, because there's going to be all these guys having babies with and then you could insert your bitcoins into Health and Human Services, and they can translate them into dollars, what you owe on your child support and everything. I'm sure that's a way of, I'm sure that they haven't figured that out in Health and Human Services yet, how they can extract that.
Yeah, well, that's probably one of the risks of women getting involved, because, as we know, they're going to talk. The first thing they're going to want is regulation,
Yeah.
right? So the first thing they'll do is bring the government in fast and strong. So yeah,
Yeah, that defeats the idea of Bitcoin, doesn't it? The government's not supposed to be regulating this thing as a way. Well, they do regulate all commerce. They have that inscribed in the Constitution, that they have a right to regulate all but they take that way too far, don't they?
yeah, yeah. I hate that that's in the Constitution, that they can regulate commerce.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, if there was a MRA cause, that's one of the things they should be working on too. Get, you see little kids now, police officers closing down Kool-Aid stands, because that breaks the constitutional law there. You're taking out money, you're not paying taxes. What are you doing here? They're shutting down the Kool-Aid stands and stuff like that.
It's a good use of our tax dollars, boy. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta tax those little kids.
Does is Bernie you on the line over there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I'm kind of half asleep. I'm trying to get my
Yeah,
shit together.
I was just gonna. Do you got any Bitcoin? Are you a?
Oh yeah, man. I've been in Bitcoin since they were like 25 each. I'm sitting pretty with Bitcoin.
Oh, dude, really?
Yeah. I thought I got in late at 25. I thought I was way late, but I thought I'd better buy a few just to say I have them, just in case. And then it started climbing, and I learned more. And I'm still convinced that being able to buy a Bitcoin for less than $100,000 is a bargain.
Wow.
That's my position, in case you were wondering.
Okay. Yeah, I know very little about it. It's still kind of a foreign concept to me. I know I have a Bitcoin account somewhere, and I have some Bitcoins in it, but
just make sure you know how to save them and spend them. Don't, because they'll be valuable someday.
Yeah.
No, I'm impressed, man. You got in that early. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So that was like 2010 circa, or 11?
Was it? Yeah, I'm thinking 2.5 years ago, maybe 3.5 at the most.
3. Okay. Now I know there was a big upsurge where it went to like 1,600 at a.
Yeah, it went to like 14.5, if I remember right, and it came down pretty quickly. That was when China moved in, and there was a lot of interest, and it just shot up from. I think it had been around 250, and it just climbed all the way to about 1,400, whatever it was. Came back down, hung around at 800, and it's been slowly trickling downward ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do they mark that? What is that gauged on? I don't even know.
There's a couple of the major exchanges, whatever the current sale price, or whatever, they just aggregate the major exchanges, whatever the average price is.
Right. Like any other currency exchange, it's just whatever
Yeah.
the market dictates.
Market, who's interested? If no one's interested, then okay,
I mean,
yeah.
even Google has a Bitcoin on their ticker now. You know.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, like there's the symbol is BTC, like you're looking up a stock. That you can look. I watch the Bitcoin price from Google now.
okay, so it's actually in the stock exchange now. So it is
Well,
a
well,
part
it's
of.
not a stock, but you can follow
Google
it like a
Finance, you
stock.
mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's starting to be picked up by more major, institutions or whatever. Um, the Yeah, and it's to some extent the price has to do with the cost of mining it, right? So it's expensive to mine them, and so that kind of sets a floor on the price to some extent.
yeah, and the uh, the miners, of course. I mean, back in the day, I mean, these guys were mining like getting 3, 4, 5 bitcoins every hour. Now the value goes up, but the number of bitcoins they're getting is less. But they're still that's why the system works for those miners, because they're still incentivized to continue buttressing up the network with their mining rigs all over the world. That's why the Bitcoin network is bigger than Google. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to even fathom that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually 10 times bigger than Google.
Yeah. Now you talk about mining. Can you guys explain that a little bit? So the novice like me knows about Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, well, mining's not really the right word. I mean, the best way to look at it is,
It's mathematical mining.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
math. In other words, the amount of the currency is being released to the market over time, rather than just all at once. So the miners are there doing all this mathematical shit, but what they're doing is they're actually verifying transactions. They're the ones that actually, like when you spend Bitcoin, that's where the computing power that's actually verifying the transactions.
Okay, so there's a conversion from the dollar or say the yen or whatever into Bitcoin, or from finances. And I seen a lot of they were mining Bitcoin from sites. So what you were earning on your site automatically went to Bitcoin. So it was an exchange from the dollar to the Bitcoin. But a lot of people were doing it that way, and they were doing it through so web generation, some kind of web generation, and there were some interesting aspects of that. And it was basically taking nothing and then doing a job and then making it into the Bitcoin. And then that you were generating, they called it mining at that point. I'm not sure how that happened.
Maybe it's distributed mining or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of really interesting ideas, and people have some unique ways of generating and making it, and yeah, kind of neat stuff if you like that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the as they print us into oblivion, it does seem like gold and Bitcoin are going to be pretty important in the future. I mean, it's just
Yeah, like that's what we need. We need like a Greece or an Argentina. As soon as these people figure out how much safer Bitcoin already is compared to their currency,
right.
and then you see like a whole nation just cave into Bitcoin. In fact, I predict you will see a third world country announce they don't have a currency anymore. Their people are just using Bitcoin, and it costs the country more money to keep their currency alive than it does to just kill it. And like for instance, like Kenya, back in the day, Kenya was their currency was so bad you had people trading phone minutes as currency.
Right. Yeah.
They improvised the currency because their own currency sucked so bad, and they started using phone minutes, M-Pesas they were called. And so you can see people have a natural a natural inclination to have a solid currency. They'll even make one up out of thin air if they have to.
Oh yeah.
So that they can represent trade to each other.
Totally.
Yeah, now I can see that working out, and if the feminists were really trying to get into to Bitcoin, and they wanted Argentina would actually be the very place to do that right now, because the failed economy that the feminists actually assisted in failing.
Right.
Not a lot of people know about that cooperative economics that they had placed in there. as the idea of feminists based on care ethics and everything like that, and then they have
basically
cooperative.
communism, right? Or
Yeah,
socialism.
yeah. So they were working on that cooperative. Was cooperative or yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it was, and then it failed. Now they're prepped and ready to bring in Bitcom, the secondary, this prop it up and save.
Sure.
But ooh, and I could see the same old thing playing out there, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. What was that female president they had? She did a good
Yeah.
job, right?
Oh yeah, the Madonna movie was made about her, and then yeah. But if you follow that whole thing, uh, it was very interesting in the economics that they had to, and it was very, very feminist in its nature. That was the actual economy that the feminists had drawn up that was supposed to work. And but yeah, when you're dealing with Germany, America, Japan, China, these aren't these are like these economic systems are authoritarian, and they're what leads. They're just going to throw these little countries under the bus, and that's what they did with Greece and Argentina, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how many times the definition of insanity, right? If you look at how many times these socialisms and communisms have been put into place and how fucked up the results are every fucking time. Like that's why, you know, to that extent, anyone who's still of that mind is literally insane. Literally insane because you just can't learn no matter how many times you got. I mean, you got Venezuela, you got Cuba, you got Argentina, you got so many examples to just look at and realize probably not the right thing to do.
No, it's not. I was just trying to look that up real fast. They mentioned it on Wikipedia but they're just moving into, yeah, this had failed, so they're just moving now, and they don't know, they really don't know what they're doing, so they're just kind of running these little tests on in places that they can get into. Oh God, that would be so horrible with Bitcoin, you know.
Yeah, yeah. We got a comment saying something about a problem with Bitcoin is that it's still a fiat currency at the end of the day. I think it's,
we're talking about Bitcoin and mining.
Well, the question is raised: is Bitcoin effectively a fiat currency still? Do you have an opinion on that, there, Dr. Leonard? By the way, welcome, Dr. Leonard Nimoy.
Thank you. Maybe I should play the
Devil's Advocate.
Transport song. Damn it! Don't use the transporters.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with Bitcoin, and I just say it's a hobby. I don't think that it's that it's the way, or
really.
No, I mean it can get it's hacked. It's been hacked. You can lose your chain. You can go mine for days and find nothing.
Okay, my proposal, or what I submit, is that it's not okay. Is it fiat or not? I would say Bitcoin. I'll argue that it's not fiat because fiat is worthless. Like in reality, the only value that fiat has is the value we attach to it. It's paper. It literally is paper, but we give it value.
Yeah, gold is fiat.
Gold could be seen as fiat, right? Exactly.
Everything is fiat. It's just the only thing that's value is what a human being, they want to pay for it. They want to exchange for it. That's value is subjective.
Absolutely, and I basically have brought it down to two things as to how say gold or Bitcoin, or even dollars, why do they become valuable? They become valuable because a first starter thing. They were kind of there, in the beginning, and then the network effect. So as soon as you have the network effect take place, that is what gives the value, because the more people are using it, the more you can use it, et cetera, that kind of a thing. So Bitcoin doesn't have, it's like you can't hold it and go and do something with it. But the code, remember, information is value, right? And so if you're to argue that a piece of metal is something that, by the way, if gold weren't used as money, there'd be way more than we need. Well, that's just one way of looking at it. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but I think that the code, the actual coding has value. That's what I would say. And then also the network has value. And so in that sense, it's not just that we're giving it value, it actually has that quote unquote intrinsic value. But
well, it's one of the, I don't want to say flaws, but technically it would be a flaw, is that Bitcoin is out in the open naked for the world to see, whereas we don't have any fucking idea how banks and the government move our money around, how fucking flawed that whole system is, we have no idea how they're making that sausage. So any little thing that goes on with Bitcoin, see, it can fail. No, what you're looking at is a totally naked system, and you're seeing the nuts and bolts of it. You don't see a pretty package. You're actually looking at the bare bones at all times, whereas money is covered up by bullshit and propaganda, and God only knows. So part of the adoption of Bitcoin, a widespread adoption, is people need to be educated.
I have to disagree with that.
They need to be able to psychologically handle a currency that's not cushioned by a bunch of propaganda, because Bitcoin just doesn't have it. You can just look at the internet and look at the blockchain all by yourself and see what's going on.
Right. You should be able to look at two things with a fiat currency like that, and we know it's just supply and demand. You should be able to look at what's being produced in a gross product or something like that, and a gross national product, and demand the demand for that system, and you should be able to base it on that. But right now, with Bitcoin and the dollar, a matter of fact, you can't see that because there's so many intricate things that play into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so corrupted. When you think about the dollars and it's such a social delusion. I mean, they're creating so much dollars. They're so worthless. They're so worthless. It's just the confidence that we put in them that gives them any value. And so money is always going to be about confidence. It is.
But it is. It's about confidence right now. But what always really screwed me up with this whole system, and it just kind of takes me off of balance when I look at it, is I look at supply and demand, and I look at what I often say lighter than air work is making and producing nothing. So how can you get a value from lighter than air work?
I love that phrase, lighter than air work. It's so true, man.
We can do it on the internet. We can look at some lighter than air work is just making a web. So you have a product, you have a value in the product, and then it becomes not lighter than air work. It becomes an actual job where you have something of value. But a lot of these jobs now that the government is the female jobs, they don't produce nothing but stress. And then it's like, wow, how can, and then that offsets your gross national products, and it offsets the idea of the money itself. So it's actually should be getting smaller, but it's not. And then my head kind of explodes at that point, is where does the money come from now?
Yeah, there's so much. I think that's the sign of a really corrupt civilization, is when so much of the economy is non-productive jobs, jobs that aren't really producing anything, but they are skimming a lot off of those who are producing.
Yes, they're skimming off the jobs. Like, you can say, take for example a steel worker. He's making a steel product. The steel product's going to build a building, the structural steel inside of a building, and you got the steel workers come in and they're putting the rivets on there, and then from there we have the lighter than air jobs that are the female engineers that are going over the numbers and stats in their heads, and the rivet guys are just ignoring them because that's what you do to people like that. And we're doing it right. Don't worry about it. But it's skimming off that. and it's regulations, and it's how do we do the paperwork. The pigs and the dogs that figured out how to do the paperwork to skim off the whole system. You know.
It all comes back to Animal Farm, man.
Yeah.
It's all laid out there for us, crystal clear. We just have to see it, you know?
Yeah, and then we looked at what didn't get done in that book and what did get done, and then the excess. That was, we got characters that symbolized people in the system. The other pigs, and then the horse. The horse was actually doing actually most of the work, and the sheep were giving up. There was solids there that we can look at that and get a good idea of what's going on now. And the windmill never got built, or what did they call that? The generator. They were looking to do a generator. Yeah. So, but they were supposed to build a second windmill to grind the grain, which never got ground. And it was like, oh, what a disaster this was,
Yeah, I've seen at a former job, there was a department, like a regulatory area, and it was just like 100% female. Like they love regulation. It's like, as long as they can, sit in an office and basically tell men who are actually building things how to, not to do this or to do that, they're happy,
Oh yeah, yeah. And I can look at marketing, and marketing. Some people say, okay, that's a lighter. No, it's not a lighter than air job, because they got an actual product. They're marketing the products. The product is going. The sales is being generated from that, and you got these actual salesmen. What's that show with Mad Men was so kind of interesting to me, because of the whole economics with developing money through that sales and service of marketing, and then you got the woman that came in, and what does she automatically want to do? Rise right to the top, fill one of those lighter than air jobs, and leech off the system.
Exactly. It's just a pattern over and over and over and over again. And marketing, it's funny because basically women are natural marketers. Like it's the one job that I think, or one of the jobs that I think women are naturally suited for, because the makeup, and like they're always basically selling sex, and so they can they go right into the marketing sales role, because they're like natural salespeople. They're always just selling sex, and they're fucking good at it.
Oh yeah, well, they got a very good system of their own if they would embrace that system, with makeup, shoes, all that stuff that they do, the women do, and then but they don't want to end their system. They want to,
right.
You want to get into the steel mills and and we've seen disastrous results with this, with the woolen mills and the textile mills in the 70s and the 60s.
Did they invade back then? What happened?
Oh yeah, it was the woolen mills and the textile mills employed almost 60% of the females in our country. And I don't know how old you guys are, but it used to be, you probably got buildings around your town that someone will say, oh, well, that's the old woolen mill. It's closed down, it's crumbling now, and all that moved out. The females, what they wanted was air conditioning. They wanted softer, lighter work and everything, and they regulated them right out of the country. So at a certain point, it became more cost efficient to move it to Malaysia and just do business there.
Yeah.
Rather than having to deal with what the women wanted to regulate the shit out of it, and then they came up with these justifiable means that having air conditioning inside the woolen mills would actually shrink the clothes down better, or shrink the cloth down better, and they come up with these crazy ideas, and it was just a big mess. And so company owners will do the next logical thing, and it was the prelude to the exportation of most of America's jobs. You would have thought during the 90s they would have looked at that and said, oh, well, look what happened. We do see right now, since there is a need for female employment, and not all women will be paper pushers, they're bringing two major companies have moved back into the south areas where they do grow the cotton, and they do have the mills to actually do the synthetic cloths and everything. there's two moving back. So that's kind of moving back into to fill that spot. But I don't think feminists are going to realize that them jobs are hot, smelly, dirty jobs, but that's what they're going to be getting.
Right. No,
I
no,
thought
no.
they were taking all the tech jobs.
Yeah, yeah, they did the same thing. Well, that's the same idea, isn't it? The tech jobs were set up by all these, really smart, wonderful guys that figured out a new way to do a currency, a fiat currency. When you look at it, it's a techno currency, and now they're with what's that little girl that's always bitching about that? What's her name?
Oh, like green?
Anna Sarkeesian. Yeah, she was she looked at it and said, "Oh, yeah, there's resources to be had now there."
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got to get a
Gotta go
part of
steal
that.
me some of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to go get me some of that. And they all want to be
Yeah,
company. Well, then,
it's bad because I don't know if I shared it on my videos. I was downgraded because they wanted to have female IT techs.
yeah,
Oh
you
man.
hear a
See.
lot of that now.
So it's like a cop. It's like, oh, you get a desk job while the women go out in the field.
Unbelievable, man. It makes me ill because it's such a lie. They're lying that they're discriminated against, and so they get favoritism, but they were already favored in the first place. So it's just quadruple, quintuple favoritism. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
those jobs actually take one skill that seems to evade women too, mathematics.
Yeah, but that's what's happening now is, with the whole encouraging women into STEM, and, when they say encourage, you know what they mean. They mean, affirmative action. That's what they mean.
Affirmative action.
So now they're affirmative actioning women into STEM. Sure, you can do that, you can do that, but it's such a insult to all the males who genuinely just like did it. They created tech, they continue to do tech and engineering and everything because they work their balls off. Like math is hard, like programming is hard work, and then to hear them complain that it's like we're not in tech because you don't let us, rather than because they don't do the hard work, is like, oh man, it's really hatred against males, as we know.
Yeah. Now, what's the new programs that are female friendly to write that stuff? McCoy, you'd probably know. What do they call that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The new programs that kind of you don't have to do more of the writing anymore. It's just kind of in the program, and it's more female-friendly programs. Python, is that it?
I don't know. I mean, all
Object-oriented or something. Go ahead.
All code requires some skill, but they do have like wizards and GUIs that you type it into the GUI, and the GUI will give you hints. So it's like the computer program you put your code into tells you what to do.
Okay.
So it kind of coaches you along, right?
Right. So the guys designed that.
So that now women can come and play.
Python programming language. Yeah, that's.
But object-oriented programming is supposedly the easiest programming.
Object-oriented, is that what they call it now? I remember talking about it. I'm not much into it. I do have an animator that I use to draw. I used to draw metal parts and stuff with. It's really great for it too, because it gives me a three-dimensional view without having to go into a CAD system. But that's that's the extent of my my programming knowledge, is how to use a animator to use to draw things on.
So you are a secret anime fan, Traversable.
Yeah, I just drew a program last night. It's a round object with two bearings on it, and then I'm gonna start building it in my garage here. It's that's
really?
my anime.
Right on. You gonna get a 3D printer and print that?
No, it's actually too big. It's going to be about 6 feet tall. And
Right. Wow.
as soon as I buy the metal for it and start cutting, I have to order the metal cut because I don't have a cutter in my garage. Uh, that would take up most of my garage. But uh,
Yeah.
so
So what do you think as women, females, feminism, gyno, everything invade? Now it's a full invasion now towards tech, STEM, engineering, all the things, the conventionally a little bit of male sanity. So as they come and consume those like locusts, what do we do?
yeah, what can you do? It's like we could look back at the tech of the past and see what happened. Uh,
Yeah,
and it's pretty invasive. So it's like it's almost like locusts. How can you stop them? You're swatting at one while 100 are coming flying by you. Uh, it's just something that's going to happen, and I think the quality will telltale, won't it be?
yeah, that may be yeah, everything. But it's such a bummer because it's just like society, they can always like, you know, there'll be plenty of room for quality to degrade over time, but it'll never be easy to like make it to identify where it came from. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
lack.
Yeah. It'll
Yeah,
be the same thing as always. The men will become the utilities doing the doers stuff, and then the women will be the have the lighter than air jobs where they take all credit for everything. And I think the men will capitulate to that because the vagina.
yeah. There's just a interesting comment in the section. It says by King David, female control theory reads that it is women who oppress female sexuality for their own interests. I think that's
Female
a
control theory reads that as women that
well,
oppress. Oh yeah, for their own
right,
interests. Yeah, they know it's an addiction for men, and
right.
it's how could you
Scarcity. They make it more.
they
Slut
make it more
shaming is
scarce.
to
Yeah,
make it more scarce.
right. Yeah, it's like you could look at it as drugs or crack. Crack. I like to say crack because that's more better explains it. If the demand for crack goes down, then all the drug dealers will pay more for it. Yeah.
Totally. Looks like Shining's watching the Super Bowl. Oh no, it's Misanthrope. Uh,
It's 5:06. The Super Bowl starts at 6:30 today.
Different time zones.
Oh, yeah, it starts at 6:30 for me. I'm pretty sure.
let's
Uh,
take a show of hands in the chat room. Who's planning on watching the Super Bowl today?
it doesn't look like anybody. MGTOWs just aren't into pro football sports. I just I think it's me and Sparky Fister are the only ones that are really gun ho football fans. But I see it as a MGTOW market.
A Mgtow market?
Yeah, it's
Sports.
one of the few markets out there that hasn't really. They have no idea what MGTOW is, and they are super gynocentric. Blue pill males.
Yeah, they're caught up in that very warped sense of masculinity, right? They think that watching sports makes them masculine.
Yeah, when you look at the whole concept of the cheerleaders and they got their cheerleaders cheering them on, go and the alpha males, and then you have the leader alpha male, and then it all just kind of works down to bringing home the bacon. Uh,
Totally.
but that's what they want. I think I was thinking before uh, we were having a discussion of one thing, and I thought, if feminism gets what they want, uh, doesn't that kind of we kind of hit on it before? When they get what they want, isn't it going to screw up their system?
That's a very interesting. thing to consider. Because I mean, the whole thing. It's like they're biting the horse that feeds them, right? They're looking
Right.
a gift horse in the mouth. Um, I think the underlying presumption is that men are so hopelessly addicted to women that that no amount of abuse will ever change that. I think that's the idea, and so it could backfire in the rare circumstance that men said fuck it, but I don't know. I don't know how likely that is.
Yeah, the only thing that could backfire would be a MGTOW attitude, men going, the juice is kind of getting expensive here. It's not worth the squeeze anymore. And
Right.
but we see it happening all over. We went back over. That's why the female jobs replacing male jobs idea. But somebody always has to do the work. I guess that'll be the working caste system.
And speaking of that, I used to be in the field and stuff like that. Well, recently, now that they have more female techs, they go in teams now. I used to be, you used to go as an individual, but now you go in as teams. So a guy and a girl goes to go see the user.
A guy and a girl goes where?
Goes to see the user to fix their computer.
Why?
Oh, so yeah, I can see it's showing her how to do his job.
Yeah, so it used to be a training thing for like maybe a month or two. You go as a team, but now it's always a team.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's hilarious, man.
making yourself. That's planned obsolescence of the male in that situation. He's showing a woman how to do his job and planning his obsolescence.
Totally, totally. Um, it's like so now, and like you're saying earlier, it costs twice as much because you got to pay two people to do the job of one, right?
Right, and they could have just said, oh, well, you've been here for 7 years as an intern, paid the medical, and it'd be the same price as two people.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're chopping someone's job in half and making it into two jobs. They're not paying medical?
Well, when I was an intern, they weren't,
They weren't?
but now I'm full staff. But that that's what would you consider a lighter than air job is just a desk job.
Okay.
Right. Pushing papers,
Pushing papers.
telling people what to do.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, some jobs are some just jobs are, some jobs aren't. Like as long as there's a product at the end of it, that's a
Right.
useful product, that would be the weight of the product's value in society. Uh, I don't
Right.
generally I don't think a lot of these jobs that women do they don't well, in Health and Human Services we have 2 million of them around our country. I think it's about 2 million right now, 2.2 I think. And their job is to export stress.
They export stress.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's just saleable stress.
That's the American product now. Is we export stress.
Yeah, stress on the system and stress on everything. That was a big joke around my community. I live in one of the communities that lost its steel mill and both Ford and GM. And then they were holding up a sign. Somebody put a sign right above when you're entering the county. They got the county sign.
Mm-hmm.
Someone put a sign under it. It said Lorain County exporting stress.
That's hilarious.
I thought
guess
that was
it was a feminist enclave, right?
yeah. They seen it coming. What the destruction. Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny that we kind of got it before here. The rest of it kind of came around. This was the birthplace of what is called the states use it. They'll use their name and they'll say like Minnesota Works, the Minnesota Works program, and
Right.
Detroit works, Chicago works. They all use the same program, and right here in this county is where they wrote the original program and put it in as a pilot program in Ohio, and then it worked out, and then everybody else kind of grabbed hold of that. All the other states started doing it. That here and they had one other. Where is it at Michigan? They were doing it in Michigan too, and both of those. You look at Detroit, and you look at this, and they both look so similar. It's like desolate, barren lands of health and human services, just eating everything, and all the corporations have left.
There you go. There you go. That is a microcosm of what's happening to our broader economy, huh?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to see what's going to happen in your community soon, if this thing keeps going the way it is, you can just come or just call me up on the phone, and I will. You can just go look and see what happened in this community, and that's your future for all the rest of the states. Yeah, it's rather
Yeah.
sad.
There's a lot of waste in government service,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but there is a small group of people there that actually do work, and it's
Yeah.
usually guys.
It's usually guys, yeah, the tech guys. Yeah, they're doing the actual computers, so the girls don't have to, do anything. But
I love how
I like
they all want to be
maintain
administrators.
the building.
Right. They maintain the building. I love how they all want to be administrators.
yeah, I
I want
want
to
to be
administrate.
administrator. Yeah, the
It's like,
power.
that's not even a job. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, yeah, that's
That's what I am.
You're an
we can,
administrator?
Yeah.
But you're an IT administrator. That's a real
Yeah.
thing.
You have to actually know something. Yeah. Now we could get a great example of that as Alyssa Myers, isn't it? From Yahoo.
Totally.
Totally. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna come in here and administrate the hell out of everything.
Exactly. And they're like, they haven't been doing so good.
Oh, they were doing terrible, terrible. I hate her because she took away my sports forum.
Oh yeah. Did they took that out of the Yahoo forums, the
Yeah, you
sports?
used to be able to go, you had your own forum, you made your own forum, and you could never monetize it, but it was just kind of cool because 100, 200 guys would show up and talk about sports all day, and you could just kind of sit there, and it was cool because you got to know the guys, and then one day we came in and they were all gone. And Melissa Myers was giving that she used the silver bullet in there too. She said these are where men pedophiles gather, and then but it was just to get rid of those forums and make them more mobile phone friendly, is why she did it. And then that failed. Just recently, it came out that her mobile phone products just failed terribly because, well, you take away the original product. The original product was the forums and then she just didn't see it. She just didn't see what the product was.
It didn't have enough kittens on it.
Yeah, no babies and kittens,
What good is it? I don't get it. I don't get
Yeah, I don't get it. Footballs. What is this football thing, and this baseball thing? But yeah, it was linked to Yahoo used to have one of the best. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, they used to have one of the best sports forums out of even Google. I would say it far surpassed Google and MSN. It was just a great. Everybody was getting their information from Yahoo, and then after she came there, she just killed it. And then now you look at their joke of sports forums and the writers that are over there. It's just a joke.
Yeah, that's a classic example of female influence, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and what they're not selling is they're not selling ads. No one's putting their ads there anymore, and that was part of their product, how they made money. But everybody gets a little Yahoo app now. That what does that sell? It's nothing.
Oh, so you're talking about the
Wait,
Yahoo app. Yeah.
that does sell stuff. It's just stuff that it's not yours, that sells your information.
Yeah, like you just said, a fashion show. It's a fashion show, and they're selling your information or the girl products. And,
Well, and it's spyware on your device. They want to tailor made ads sent to you. So
Right.
they're willing to spend a bit of money to tailor adware to you.
Yeah.
That's the holy grail of advertising, right? Is targeted
Targeted,
advertising.
yeah. She failed terribly at that, and surprisingly, she came from Google. Didn't she? Came from Google. She was a failed manager at Google.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, man, it's just they just okay. We got this toxic little beast working for us. Let's just send her the Yahoo and destroy them. Good job, Google. Good job. That was like perfect. That worked out perfect, didn't it? They like. I bet you somebody over there at Google is just laughing right now, and he just can't stop because he knows what he did.
I bet you it's Sergey. He's pretty smart. He's probably like, yeah, totally.
Every time he goes into a room private, he just busts out laughing and says, "Alyssa Myers killed it. Our only competition."
Go feminism, girl power.
Girl
Yeah.
power. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was doing the how I'm so strong, independent. I'm pregnant, and all the girls were like, "Ooh." They bought into it a little bit. It generated a little bit of an upswing in their marketing abilities, but eventually that all goes away.
Yeah, and then what's the other? So then there's Sandberg, right? She at Facebook. She
Oh
fa-
yeah.
oh man.
What was her name? They brought her in, and that thing all went. Oh God! My buddy put a lot of his money into Facebook, and he was just like freaking during that whole thing. Now,
Oh really? The
yeah, how they were gonna. My big question was that when you first bought into Facebook, is how are you gonna start selling ads on Facebook?
right, right.
How are you gonna start selling real products? Because you got to do that. You got to know you got to start selling stuff.
Yeah, and they thought that they were going to cram a bajillion ads into these little streams that people watch, and that was never. It's just you can't with a market cap of $300 billion or whatever it is. I mean, I don't see how you could get enough ads through that little space.
Yeah, and you didn't have the eBay thing going on that you have now. They fixed it, and you got people selling actual hard products on there, which is generating money for generating their ads and paying for their ads, and then it generates the currency that comes out of that. But
Right.
it was a little late, wasn't it? They didn't get it at first. What they really had to do.
Yeah, they didn't monetize for a long time. They put it off, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But who was that woman that was over there? And they had to, they laid her off, and then what's his name came back and said, "Okay, I'll do it now again."
wait for which one?
Facebook.
She left and then came back.
No, the original owner came back to manage it.
Oh,
I forget how that actually worked
oh,
out. And now he put somebody in place now that's actually managing the whole thing.
right. You mean when Sergey and Larry left and then came back?
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
sold and then they left and came back, and it's like, okay, we're back now. It was sort of almost an apology there. I remember reading, I was like, yeah, we kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Right.
uh,
Yeah. Having the founders in there is generally a good thing.
yeah. Oh, what is that? Lilith the Dragon said that women can make thousands of dollars on a webcam show, live gaming, streaming, donations from major fucking simps. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's sex sells. Uh, that's a porn is always a market that they got.
Yep.
Uh, that's the internet. That's what 3/4 of the internet is just freaking porn.
It is, man. It is. And it is absolutely a free source of income that most all women have accessible at any time, right? So, any
Yeah.
woman, if she needs money or wants to just do it, she could just go and do some porn chat rooms or whatever, live webcams. Men can't do that shit. No fucking way, dude.
No, no, we even see that around here. We can look at some of the woman producers, and they're averaging 50, 60,000 viewers, just for being, pretty or you know, stimulating to look at. I don't know what it is, but and some of the men are struggling, like TFM struggling at 18,000 and doing
Right.
twice the job, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, you just have a pretty. But we will see in Mgtow that that one woman that comes around and starts pushing Mgtow soon. What do we do about that when it happens?
Start pushing it in what sense? Like trying to pretend she's Mgtow or pushing it?
Yeah, it's like a Mgtow supporter, and she gets, and then all the guys will start going over there. It's like she's, you
Mm.
know, we had the Karen that did that, but
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. That's a great thing to watch out for and be wary of. Is and like Diana Davidson kind of had a lot of.
yeah, Diana's got 42,000 now.
Is it that
That
many?
Yeah, she's up there. Well, maybe not as much as
It's like
42,
20-ish, I think, last time I was.
20-ish, maybe. Yeah, yeah, but she's been growing steadily, and it's just the female presence, you know,
Yeah.
that the men are find that, you know,
Female. It's female in-group bias and male out-group bias.
yeah. I mean, they'll
Everybody
be
loves
now. The one porn star started coming around. I figured, oh, she takes off her top, then the MGTOW's done. It's over, you know.
women. Yeah, yeah. That's it. So if we got like a female, like a porn star who is Mgtow, or at least talking about Mgtow, that would be, yeah. I imagine that, especially if you had like a sexy, like a sexy kind of chick who was like talking all about Mgtow. Yeah, but didn't that like Mgtow United? That guy, he was obsessed with that Stacy chick and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of went down that route. They were getting obsessed with like the female Mgtow.
Oh yeah, what was that girl's name? She was a little chubby little blonde girl. There was Stacy, and then there was they called her the
Yeah.
mother of MGTOW. It almost made me I puked a little in the back of my throat. Uh, what was that? Yeah,
I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Shining would know her name. She said she was some psychologist, and she brought in the MU group, uh, not the MU, the what is that? A mental health group?
Right.
Yeah. Oh
Are
God.
you talking about Lisa Emerald?
Lisa
There you go.
Emerald. Yeah, that's her name. And then she just left. Must have been no market here, huh?
I was gonna say the money wasn't strong enough.
The money wasn't. But what happens when the money does get strong enough? We become we will become an obsession. You know how they act? It's like resources are there. They want the resources. They will influx, and then we're going to get these guys that we've seen it already that'll say, "Oh, she can be a MGTOW mom or whatever she is. That's okay if women come in." But they don't know what they're giving away. They're giving away the resources that could have promoted maybe one or two guys around here may have been
Yeah.
able to make a living on this and start
Yeah.
competing in the media and start having a real product to put out. That's what
Yeah.
they're giving up.
I mean, look, women, look at what they do, right? Women are totally support each other. They buy each other's products. They read each other's stupid ass blogs just
Yeah,
because they're women to support them, to give them money. So for us to do something like that, it's not like we would necessarily want to because men are kind of like not that petty, but because they're doing it, we might as well, because fuck it, level the playing field a little bit.
yeah, yeah. That was my big argument with it because they didn't see it was. I don't think they seen that it was. It was just. It was being. It was mirroring the blue pill society. What was happening there? Bring the girl in, and then all of a sudden she's there. She's the representative, and everybody's looking at her, and they say, "No, that's okay." And I was saying, "No, that's not okay," because it derails MGTOW before it even starts.
Yeah, totally. It's a weakness. Yeah, it's just more weakness to women. Um, it's just like if you think back of, I just like to think in terms of say like some empire or some whatever. You know, it's like giving the keys to the barbarians, right? It's like
Yeah,
once you know
yeah.
once you
Yeah, how would we are we supposed to develop these systems that like the Mayor Mgtow system there to house males, start feeding males, start uplifting males where they get back into being productive males, and do these things. If all the money's, there's never going to be any here.
Right. Right. It's too easy. We see how easy it is for females to co-opt things, so there should be a very strong apprehension
Yes.
and suspicion and just a
Yeah.
resistance toward that.
Resistance too. Yeah, that was kind of the founding of the Mgtow monks. We seen that. We said, no, we can't have women in these spaces because we know what they're going to do, and if we're going to ever start these systems, that we can't have it. And then we got this resistance from this other group that was, immortal, and I had my arguments with them, and the arguments really wasn't about what he was or anything. The arguments were about what they were doing that emulated the blue pill world and was going to turn
Right.
out horrible for us. And they didn't understand it. They said, no, we're having the women in, and we still get it with Nico. Oh, we can't dehumanize. When they say we can't dehumanize half the race, that's just so offensive to me.
Right.
It's like, that's not even a question. The question was, what about Mgtow?
Right. It's more of a positive than a negative. It's not a negative against women. It's a positive for MGTOW.
Yeah. I was just saying, what about Mgtow? You're losing it here, and it's just going to be sucked into the matrix, and then Mgtow is just going to be some cool fashion statement that you can get yourself a shirt with the Mgtow emblem and parade around and say you're a strong, independent man. You just become feminism.
Yeah. Taking that hard stance is difficult.
It's
It
difficult.
is difficult, and it's even challenging from a moral perspective. I mean, I get there is an argument, bigotry is bigotry and all that, and it's always we got to keep that, in the back of our minds, not to be like racist or something against women, but it is to be affirmative toward males, because it and really I think it's more about it's not so much it's like males are not we're naturally very equalitarian. We're
Yeah.
naturally accepting, and we don't, males don't really want to exclude anyone. Really, it's like everyone just do your thing, and and that is what it is. But the problem is that females are aggressive in their misandry, and
Right.
so because of that, it warrants males putting up a resistance to that. And so, to the extent that we promote a more male space and not really female, it's actually warranted by the behavior of women themselves. They're the ones who make it necessary. Put it that way.
Yeah. So it's we can get these views of feminism start eating itself, but we don't consider this in MGTOW sometimes. What we're doing here, where we're at, why we want to do this, and we know it's going to happen if we let it go. But yeah, we get the resistance from the other people that don't know. That was always something that just it was
Right.
it was almost blinding to me when I seen it. As like, wait, we're not like everybody else. We're still building this thing. We don't have to argue these. When they brought in, like I said, when was brought in, they just reminded us that there was racism out there, and we should include ourselves with that because there was no racism in here. And
Right.
then now we
Right.
got the Islamic phobia thing going on in here, and then we have the racism thing going on in here. We're starting to mirror and reflect regular society, and these things shouldn't be happening in here. Uh,
Agreed.
pretty pretty soon the gynocentrism and will creep in if we don't be ever guardful against it. And we should be ever guardful against a lot of these stupid things we see, this arguing. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think of all of that stuff that the isms, all of the isms to me really just come back to gynocentrism.
yeah,
Yeah. Whether
yeah.
it's yeah.
We said all roads lead to Mgtow, and all those isms lead back to gynocentrism. Yeah.
Exactly. it's women that divide men. Women divide men against each other, and so all that stuff it's ultimately petty and trivial and should not be embraced.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah, when we talk about it, it's like this German thing with the German rape squads.
Mhm.
Uh, it was sent out there in such a way, and then all of a sudden we picked it up here, and then we started doing videos about it. And I was like, no, 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 don't do a video about that because you're supporting it in some minuscule way. It may be interesting to you, but don't support those kind of things.
Because it just breeds that mentality.
It breeds that mentality that there is really such things as this Muslim rape culture and everything, and it was just horrible. It's just horrible for a MGTOW when we do them things, and it's groupthink. Uh, it
Right.
becomes a trend. The pooning feminist. That's why the MRM or the MRA, in a sense, has become so ineffective because they think that all their job is to do is poon feminists. And
Right.
Paul recently says he said on a recent video that some guys say our job is to do this, and he says no, we're not. That is our job, just to point out feminism. And it's like, oh yeah, you're just buying into the whole trap.
Yeah, yeah, that is very interesting. He said that outright.
Hmm.
That's our whole. That's the extent of our job is to point out feminism, right?
Yeah, that's the extent of their job. That's a sound chamber, isn't it? An echo room. That's working
Well,
within a vacuum.
yeah. It reminds me of Charlie Brown cartoon with Lucy and the football. It's they can throw shit out. They can say whatever crazy shit they want, and if your job is to constantly clean up the shit, that's a never-ending job that goes nowhere, right?
Yeah,
It's just like missing. She pulls the football every time, over and
yeah.
over again.
Every single time that's going to happen, and that's what's going to happen around here. You guys says, what is traversable supposed to mean, anyways? King David.
Hmm.
Traversable is a wormhole. When you're looking into the wormhole, we don't know what's on the other side, and we don't know what's on the other side of MGTOW either. Uh, this is all brand new to us. We're traversing the wormhole. We're traversing from one mountain to the next mountain. We don't know what's on the other side, but we will get there, and we'll be able to send back images or send back whatever we need to say, hey, this is what's over here. We're going our own way. We're going somewhere. Where are we going? We're going into this unbelievable area where men do not know what's on the other side. But we're gonna get there, and we're gonna gather there, and we're gonna make what we need to make there. That's what I say is we're gonna develop our own systems, but we don't know what's there. And the best way I can say that is traversable. It's through a wormhole. Do you know what's on the other side? I don't, but we will know.
My God,
I
Jim,
like that.
where are we?
There you
Yeah,
go.
my God, Jim. Where are we? Yeah, it's this is all brand new to us. No, I didn't wake up as a child one day and when the school teacher asked me, Joe, what are you going to be when you grow up? I said, well, I'm going to be a MGTOW producer. No, I said what everybody else says. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a policeman. I'm going to be a fireman. I was going to be a steel worker. I was going to be, I was going to be a car driver and win races and play football. I never could imagine this thing when I was young.
Yeah, I think your description or the traversable thing is neat. Now that I really understand what's behind it, it's because I think it's a lot of truth to it because, as we talked about earlier, there's a lot of history for mankind, a lot of civilizations to look at and draw from and kind of, learn from. And I think it's an open question as to whether MGTOW can be something that is really new and different, or if it falls back into the old. And so, to the extent that we can traverse into something new, I think that's a neat idea. It's a neat
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, we're going somewhere where no men in the history of the world has ever asked these questions we ask. We weren't allowed to. It was a social taboo. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we're breaking grounds racial genderism. We're breaking ground into that.
because traditionalism has been the rule.
Traditional has been a rule, yeah, and they still want it to be the rule. They're fighting like the southern slave owners to keep a hold of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. The China thing to come out just directly and say we need to uh, reinforce, because it's fading. We need to reinforce masculinity, and we define masculinity as males providing and protecting for females. I mean, that's it. They're telling you right out in the open. You know, um, yeah, never a good deal.
Never a good deal. Yeah, we're the protectors, providers. Yeah, I reject that. I'm not the protector and provider of all that anymore. You know what I am? I'm the protector and provider of myself. Trying to
Yeah,
find a new way to do this thing. Hey,
yeah. I mean, the only the only scenario in which males could have some logical incentive to do anything that would be helpful to others is where their property is protected, their property rights. So what they produce, they get to keep.
yeah,
You know, like if marriage were not, right now marriage is just a confiscation of male wealth, right? That's all it is. But if it were different, if it were like, there's no way she can steal your shit. There's no way the state can steal your shit. They can't steal your kids. They can't take your stuff. I'm not saying I would encourage it by any means, but at least it would sort of be a more logical, rational, reasonable thing to, if it was something that you wanted to do, it would make a little more sense. But
yeah. Death will take away everything we own. I just had seen it's a male in the area was having some financial difficulties, so me and a friend went out the other day to try to see what was going on in the male's life. He was a 70-year-old male, and he was still simping. And through his whole life, he had worked, and he was the protector, he was the provider, he was he had this idea ingrained in his head that he needed this female company and everything. But he was 70 years old, still. And what he was doing was he was bringing these horrible, horrible women in his life they did what they do. They extracted everything from him, and his gas is getting ready to be turned off. And I just I just kind of stepped back and I was like, wow, there it is, the 70-year-old simp still simping, still giving away everything he owned, and he's going to leave this world with nothing. And he's spending his children's inheritance on you know having fun parties with women. And these were deplorable women. They were crackheads and they were whores and tramps and everything. And but there it was right in front of me. He had never learned in his life how to be comfortable in his own skin, how to just come home, go out into his garage, do something, watch TV, and be comfortable with himself. He couldn't sit there for 5 minutes with himself. And that's what these manginas and these simps and these white knights are. They're gonna be that guy when they get old.
yeah, that's well put. Yeah, men, from the time you're zero, you're thrown into the hamster wheel of performing for females, and your whole identity is wrapped up in it. So you sitting with yourself doesn't even make any sense, because you're just this automaton that's out there running in circles and running on the treadmill. And it's not until you stop and say, who am I really? What am I really?
What am I really? Am I valuable? And then you start placing value on yourself. If you start doing this at 20, 30, by the time you're 40, 50, my age, you're going to have a real sense of agency, a real sense of independence, where you don't need all this stuff. You're not spending money on stupid garbage, and you're starting to collect some wealth and some respect and some whatever you wanted to be in life, whatever you aspire to. But this whole thing is designed to extract from you, and it's designed to extract everything. How many men have you looked at? I've seen this so many times in the last few years. The one incident I can remember before that is you could tell I do some social work here, and I don't want to give away what I do and everything, but uh,
Yeah.
we went out to another male's house. He had gotten thrown in a tub, and the girl wrapped him up inside of a shower curtain and duct taped him inside of the shower. Took his wallet and his keys and left. This was a 70-year-old, 68-year-old male. And anyway, well, what was she doing in the house? And he says, well, I'm her sugar daddy. He was paying for it, and he was getting abused, and he was simping, and it was disgusting. It looked disgusting to me when I seen it. I was like, dude, really? At your age, grow up.
Yeah, it's hard to see that.
It's hard to see that. Yeah, it's just like I see so many of these cases in society where men are just vying for that last ounce of validation they can draw. Yeah, the female validation they can get. So, I stuck it to her at night. That's all you can say. We'll put all that in one hand and put a dollar bill in the other. See which one weighs more.
There you go.
See which
There's
one costs
something
you
wrong
more.
with the crew. My crew, the crew of the Starship Enterprise. They've been taken over by Orion slave women.
Yeah. That's they're just selling out. They've never learned how. These men have never learned how to be themselves.
And it's just as men, to me, it just brings me back to the idea that it's like the thing about maleness. It's fickle. It's tricky because if you just go off of our biological programming, females will win, right? Females will dominate males if you just have our biological programming, because that's what's in our base nature. We'll be gynocentric. Males will compete for females. Females will run the show, except for the alpha will kind of be he'll be the puppet in charge.
Yeah.
But the behavior you're talking about that's our base reality, and that's the thing about masculinity, is it's like we have to realize that we're sort of born flawed as males, because we have that addiction that's inborn, and our struggle in life is to overcome that. That's like our mission, is to overcome that, and masculinity sort of proper masculinity facilitates that. But yeah, because I mean, just to see that, it tells you that it's so instinctive, and it's very much inside of us.
Yeah.
We're always going to be fighting it.
Spock, are they really that beautiful?
Yeah. What were the girls in that? The green ones that.
Orion slave girls are the green women.
Yeah, they show Kirk. He does that great scene where he's sitting on the bed, putting his shoes on, indicating that he just got a little.
Well, they produce a pheromone that pretty much puts you in a state where you can't control yourself.
So Kirk got parasitically infected. Well, that's what it is, guys. Really.
Oh, you mean with the ear thing that went in his brain? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's another episode, but the episode Joe was talking about is the Orion slave traders.
Okay. The Orion slave traders, the green girls.
The Orion men are hideous, and the Orion slave women are extraordinarily gorgeous and have pheromones that can control men.
Well, there you go. They nailed it. Star Trek.
I never found them attractive. That was the whole kind of big lie about it. I remember watching it when I was a kid and going, they're like they started playing the light music in the background, and they're going, ooh, look, and I was like, look at what?
You weren't attracted, huh? Yeah.
No, it didn't work on me. But if you're watching the show, you're like, oh, if you're a fanboy of that, you buy into that stuff. That's what was attractive. I don't know if that was attractive or not.
I have a. It's interesting to kind of. Again, this is why kind of self-introspection is an ongoing thing. But when I try and figure out like to what degree my attraction to females is innate and what part of it is socialized, it's tricky to tell where that line begins and ends. I mean, I'm very attracted to women, like way, like a lot of women are extremely sexually attracted to me. But and when you say, you know, you didn't find those women attractive, it's like it makes me wonder if my attraction is largely socialized or how much of it is just like, you know, straight up nature, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Well, they know all the tricks, high heel shoes, the arched back,
Yep.
pushing the buttocks up into a forward position, which resembles the Lotus position. And we all know what
Yeah.
the Lotus position is. The Lotus position was to signalize she's ready
Receptivity.
to have sex. She's ready. She's receptive. We know that from the bonobos and the chimpanzees. The female lowers her back and puts up her butt and gives the Lotus position, and that tells
Yep.
the male that she's subservient to him.
Yep.
That's high heels in general. That's why they do that.
Exactly.
It's funny
Exactly.
that most women, if a female during her young ages of to 12 to 14, maybe 15 up to 16 years old, uh, if she wears high heels and her body contorts to that position too many times, it will stay in that position. And you see that with but they're sexualizing that position. You look at that with the what's the big the Kardashian girl with that
Hmm.
butt. That's
Yeah, Kim.
yeah, her butt is just in the Lotus position permanently,
Permanently.
and that's
Agreed.
what males find attractive. Oh, it sets off a mechanism inside of you that says, oh, she's ready to engage.
It's a very, very powerful trigger.
It's
It's
a very powerful trigger, right? That's what I told my son when I was trying to teach him about when he was 18, 19. I took him to the bar and I was like, now look around here. We were doing a PUA thing for him because I taught a little PUA. When I says, which ones are ready, which ones don't you want to go around, and which ones are just bitches or which ones in it. And I said the best way to tell is just look at the hump, and she's going to tell on herself. The ones that are in the Lourdes position
Mhm.
are ready to go. Yeah, and
Mhm.
the ones that you can start doing which ones dress like this and do the whole PUA thing. But that for me was you know
Yeah.
they display that quite readily when they walk up to you, and all of a sudden you kind of glance down and go, oh, yep, I see it.
It's it's massive fraud that they're perpetrating against men. You know, walking around as if they're in receptivity mode like 24/7 when they're not, you know.
24/7, yeah, yeah, and now they figured out with the high heels, and they'll blame it on men and say men discovered high. No, I don't think so. I think you know, uh,
Oh, it's a lie. It's such a lie. Women could stop wearing heels anytime they want. Anytime they want.
yeah,
They wear it because they profit. They profit from the attention.
yeah.
You know, guys, that they sell products designed for women to be in that state. So Kardashian, they have like the waist trainer,
Yeah.
the Kardashian waist trainer, and she's also started another unhealthy health fad of no shampoo.
Oh, for the pheromones. So,
Yeah, and to
Make the hair
help
shiny and shit.
make the hair have shining with the natural oils. But that's not really health wise good for everyone.
oh yeah. Now we've seen what I think is horrifying is I look at some of these women and they have that neotenous rounded faces, the puffy skin, the it's holding water and everything. And what a lot of women have figured out is if they get a flu or a sickness, uh, their skin gets pale, which is more attractive. So they try to get sick
Hmm.
to have that neotenous look.
Hmm. I mean,
And
how low can you go, you know?
yeah, and you're just running around as a bacteria farm, spreading that around, and they were trying. It was a big fad at a point, and women had figured out that oh no, if I just got a slight cold, my skin, when you have a cold, your skin
Hmm.
gets paler,
Hmm.
it clear your face clears up, your body's pumping out things to You get a more roundish holding water look to your face and everything, and women figured that out. It's just, oh, if I just keep myself sick, I'll be more attractive.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the examples, the foot binding or the small feet, just
Yeah.
and like bustiers. You brought up Nimoy, what you were talking about earlier. It's similar to the bustier, right? Um, all these things were very finely crafted and refined to trigger those male sexual impulses. Um, to because the male recognizes the patterns of fertility and receptivity, and so they just they put the red lipstick on as if they're extra fertile and they're receptive, and then the male, boom, it just triggers that response.
Yeah. Now, when we look at the other end of the spectrum, the female in her natural state is females are cryptic. They're supposed to be cryptic. It's designed, and we see this in our bonobo society now that we're having with it's communal.
Yeah, yeah.
The human female is supposed to naturally be cryptic to so males cannot see when they're ovulating.
Absolutely. This is an important concept here, and there's another way. It's the concealed fertility is another way of thinking of
Yes.
it, but yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful.
Now that's in a communal sense for all the men think that they're the father. And we see this with judges, lawyers. They think that they're the father. We have this parental society that parents females, and that's why we have things all screwed up because uh, people ask why did the judges rule on behalf of well, it's a parental society. It's parentage. It comes from that cryptic state where over a million years here. Uh, all the males in society think that they are the daddy, and you hear it in our culture. I'm your daddy culture, and
Right.
the government has become the daddy. What they're really saying is he is the male that thinks it's a big generation of the delusion that they put out there.
Delusion
Yes.
of it takes a village to raise a child.
It takes a village to raise a child. Yes, and all the men buy into that because they think they're the next He-Man. I'm the daddy. You call me daddy. That's
Right.
what sugar daddy. That I used that before. He thought he was the sugar daddy. That's what he desired. That's what he wanted to be, the daddy.
And that's a perfect example of how they use um, male dominance to their
Right,
advantage, right?
to their
So
advantage.
they push you to be dominant, and then so now you want to be the daddy so that you can be dominant, but then they only do that because they're going to come back around and
Right.
parasite off of your
Parasite.
daddy.
Yeah. Now you take that along with the other end of the spectrum that we just talked about with the hair, the makeup, the neoteny, the lotus position, the all that. Man, that's a double attack on the male census. It's a triple attack on the male
So
census.
heavy.
It's so heavy. But here in Mgtow, we've identified these things. That's why listen up. These guys have to listen up to what we're saying because we're not telling anybody any lies here. Once you identify these things, it makes it easier for you to navigate through this world and not get affected by that stuff and be the monk and be in total. Mgtow is about being in total control of your senses so
Yes.
you, as a male, can be more successful.
Totally. I totally agree. It's that it's like I said, I mean, it's we're born the way we're so men are actually really vulnerable the way they're born because of all these mechanisms.
Yeah.
Like if you imagine, basically put it like this, Traversable, if you imagine coming into the world and not having any kind of anyone teaching you this stuff or any kind of masculine culture or understanding in order to the way you could learn this stuff, you would be susceptible to all these things. You would basically be a
You're
female
susceptible
psychopath.
to. Yeah, you're. That's what they got. That's why we when I looked at those two males, all I seen from what these eyes see now, I seen simp, I seen mangina, a whole life's worth of work, just lost.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to look at these guys that come here and say, man, he just got his utility extracted and he knew better. He should have known better. How did I fail? and explaining what I needed to explain.
Right. It's such it's a night and day difference between the knowledge and not having the knowledge, and that's why the undertone. If you notice the undertone of feminism and just females in general,
Yeah,
it's really anti-knowledge. It's really
it's anti-knowledge, right?
they want to keep you stupid because that's when they have the upper hand. They have the upper hand when men are sort of ignorant and just fumbling around in their the unfortunate flaws that they were born with, female addiction and validation seeking and all this, all these triggers, that's when they profit immensely. So that's why they really don't, they're not in favor of male enlightenment,
Right. Yeah. Now we can get to the younger guys, and I know it's frustrating for me, and we often get called the monks and the old guys and everything. But hey, I'm just trying to spread a little wisdom here. If I can get to a guy at 16, 17 years old,
Yeah, what a
and
huge difference.
what a huge difference in his life, and all he's got to do is take on a few, know about neoteny, know about the Lourdes position, know about cryptis, know about hypergamy, know about all those things, those traps that you have fallen, and his life will be fine. But when they come around and they
Right.
reject me and they reject what I say, all I'm seeing is, oh, you're just going to be. All I can see is the failure coming. Boy, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge service you're doing to them to go one direction versus the other. I mean, yeah, men can be really prosperous, really they can live a good life without all these whatever you want to call them, these defects or whatever. Um, so yeah, 17 years old. So if I think back, if I could have, how I could have ran my life knowing these things, I'd be fucking balling,
Oh
balling.
yeah, yeah. You could do the PUA at young. I'm not going to say that all the young guys can't do the PUA, but the PUAs don't explain it to them correctly. Uh, uh, they're not going to tell them about this stuff, and it's all some big dress like Michael Jackson and learn how to dance, and you're going to do good. No, there's much more to it. They're short-sighting these guys, and they're still going to fall for the trap. Uh,
The Tholian web. They're caught in the Tholian web.
yeah.
That's it. That's the one. It's the web. The web of deception and deceit and manipulation and lies and sex, drugs and rock and roll.
Drugs and rock and roll. Yeah, I still like drugs and rock and roll.
Yeah, me too. We get a little bit of room. A little bit of room.
A little bit of room for that, since they're being more tolerant of marijuana these days, I've tried to, adjust my my opinion about it.
Yeah, yeah. The drug, marijuana's not a big deal. I mean, it's weird. It's an artifact that it's even a big deal is made out of it, right?
Yeah, it is. It's sort of silly, and rock and roll is always good and makes me feel manly.
Yeah, yeah. I hate to not to sidetrack us or anything, but the whole the anti-drug thing is very anti-male. I mean, like when I think that 1% of our population is in prison because of essentially drugs,
Yeah.
it's just so anti-male.
Oh, that's just a part of the new prison system too that I see as the daddy farming. It's just part of that daddy farming prison where they can put any male in prison anytime they want if he refuses to give up his utility or his wealth.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah. We got maybe Lilith here says, what if males used emotions and intelligence kind of the way women do, and we were able to kind of turn it back on them? What about that?
Emotional. What if males use emotion? Let me. Ooh, it's going too fast. What if males use emotion and intelligence together and become immortals to women and then they serve us. Well, yeah, putting women in a subservient in their I don't really believe in putting women in a subservient position. I really have no feelings at all for women, whether they be subservient or not. All I want from a woman is to do what her task is in life, whether it be making a sandwich at the Subway shop or if she, that sort of stuff. If they're going to come in here, act decent, and I don't think they're going to because well.
I agree with that. Yeah, go ahead.
The problem is all those other things that they bring to the table that are the negatives are going to come with the positive.
Right.
I'm not excluding the positive. I would say always, I'm not excluding the positives that they have and they bring to the table. I'm excluding all the negatives. I don't hate all women. I hate bad women. And
and most women are bad women.
Most women are just in this society. Yeah, most women are just they're bad women. There's hypergamy and all that stuff, and I can't get it out of them. And searching for that Noel at some point became it became too hard and too many failures on that. And
it's impractical.
It's impractical. Every time I fail, I fail myself, and I fail. I fail a little more in life.
I think, we just got to come to grips with the fact that women are not monogamous.
No,
they're not. Right? Their nature is totally not. Their mission is essentially to go out there and seek alpha genetic material, acquire it, not necessarily stay with them, right? Even that's kind of the misconception that I think a lot of men think if I could just be alpha, then women would stay with me. That's not even true. What women want is serial alphas, like multiple different alphas.
Multiple, yeah.
And
they want a community to support them.
Right, exactly. And so there's no way to be that. You're aspiring to something that doesn't exist. It's a non-existent thing.
Yeah, it took me a while to get over that, and I actually had a female explain to me, and she had to explain to me. She was a very notable feminist in my youth. After I had got my divorce, I started running around with feminists to try to learn about it, and then essentially started dating one. But she explained that, Joe, there's no such thing as monogamy. You do know that, don't you? And then my little mind was like, no, that's what has always been told to me, the big lie, that you're supposed to find a girl and you're going to be monogamous. No, everything in science tells us, and everything you're going to learn in life will eventually tell you that there is no such thing as monogamy. And
exactly. If you just look out at the real world, you know that it's obvious. It becomes readily apparent. But that does make it difficult to know what do you do? What's since that's the case, when you throw out that myth, that whole thing, it's like, how do you then, in what terms do you even engage with females? And I don't know what the answer is, but essentially it's minimal.
It's minimal. Like as little as possible. That's always the answer. It's Mgtow minimal, that's the only way to be totally 100% safe. Every time you move a little bit on that bar forward to engaging in that, with that, you're putting yourself the risk factor. There should be two bars. One is the bar you're moving forward, engaging in that blue pill behavior, and one is the risk factor that always moves forward with it. And the higher you move forward, the more that risk goes up. When they will meet or when they will spark together. It's electric. It could happen at any moment.
Sure. Yeah.
We can't measure that. It's not measurable when that's going to happen, but it will happen.
You can't predict it. You can. Yeah. Exactly. It's a good point you make, because once you engage with it, it's just that little by little you go further and further down that slope.
Yeah.
It's almost like you kind of got to take a hard stance against it, otherwise you're inevitably going to go that direction.
Right. Right. Better to start at the safe end of the bar, than the other end of the bar where you're just taking in all that risk and then learning. And, that's the monk way. Better to start at the safe. Wherever you take your life, wherever these guys take their lives, it's just as long as they know the basic premises of how things work, I think they'll be fine. But
Right.
like I say, there's these guys that are railing against the monk's code. They're railing against it right now. They don't, we got the guys. It's okay to touch. It's okay to go do this. It's okay to have the women around. No, put that out of your mind for a little bit and learn what you need to learn. No one taught these guys this in high school. It's not a course you're going to get in high school. And it's not even a course that sometimes is God, it's so hard to articulate it, isn't it?
Damn it, Jim! Don't fall into some type of man trap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was it?
The Venus flytrap.
Yeah, I used to have nightmares about that Star Trek episode where there were the holes, the black holes, and they were trying to maneuver through this area, and there was these black holes, and then they fell into the black hole, and then I think it was Spock ended up, and then there was a girl on the other side, and then of course, and then it was like, oh, and then I'd have these nightmares where I was walking through this world, and then all of a sudden there was this black hole, and I just fell in it.
It's also
Perfect analogy.
The first episode of the original series where McCoy meets an old flame on a planet.
Oh yeah.
Even they were dealing with gynocentrism on Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek was the original trying to explain it to us, and there was the original red pill, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, the black holes are a perfect I mean, if you think about it, vagina is a black hole.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Both figuratively and literally. It's an empty space that essentially serves to consume your attention, your resources, your lifeblood. Yeah, it's a black hole.
It's a hole. It's devoid of everything. Don't fall into it.
It's the event horizon. Don't pass over the event horizon, or it's there's no turning back. You can't get out of that. The tractor beam has got you.
Yeah, they'll get you. Yeah. Oh my. Okay.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. So, who's all in the room now? Let's see. What males use emotional? Okay, that was the one before. I haven't slid down the. Okay. So it's like 6 o'clock. We've been going like an hour and a half.
The Super Bowl is coming on. Oh yeah, Super Bowl's 20 minutes.
Yeah, Super Bowl's 20 minutes away, and I know a lot of the American public will probably want to jump out and do that. And I know I'm going to be getting friends here over, and they're going to be knocking on my door, with dips and beer and shit pretty soon. Oh no, don't bring that dips and beer.
Stop! No.
Yeah. And those tater chips. What did he call them? What did Shiny call those? Crisps. They call
over in England, they're crisps.
Yeah, crisps. Yeah, potato crisps. Yeah, I thought that was. We learn something new around here all the time, don't we? The different cultures.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It's just pretty much Americans who want to watch the Super Bowl, huh? It's not really Europeans.
No, I think they'd probably get it over there, but it's like 6, so it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 11 o'clock at night right now over there. So
that's true. They don't give a fuck.
12,
Think about how much money is used to televise that and publicize that, and how much money they get.
Oh God, how much is you could probably look up real quick how much a commercial costs on for Super Bowl Sunday. Marketing to the Americans. It's just some phenomenal. And I do suppose tomorrow when everybody comes back, everybody's going to go, I didn't watch it, but you're going to come back and say, you know what, this gynocentric commercial I seen on the Super Bowl?
Totally. Oh, Mgtow are gonna do that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It happens every year. We're going to go on for a week here. This next week is going to be talking about what gynocentric commercial uh, offended us the most.
As it should be. As it should be. Someone's got to do that hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to see. They didn't, I don't think they've been, last year they came out with them early and kind of, they, the whole mystique was gone when you watch the Super Bowl. This year, they've been very tight-lipped about those commercials. Well,
Oh
which
yeah.
one? Yeah, so I'm thinking, man, they're just going to gynocentric us up this year.
I'm sure they'll probably like have a commercial where the Super Bowl is all women.
Yeah, yeah, they have all the girl football players out there, and she comes out and she's the quarterback, and she looks at the screen and goes, "I'm a strong, independent girl. I want to be the quarterback." And then the lineman comes up and says, "I'm part of the team." Oh my God, I can just see
Exactly.
it happening. It's like, oh, my head will, like in that new Vivo commercial where they hit the head explodes, and that's what's going to happen to me at some time tonight when I'm watching the Super Bowl. My top of my head is just going to explode off, and a purple dust is going to come out.
Just remember what we read this week. The the football commission, they said that they have to interview females for the executive
Oh
positions
yeah,
now,
yes,
right?
they do. That was they have. There's two jobs inside of the NFL itself, the actual business of the NFL, not the teams, the administrators that are now gynocentric positions. And I said before, Jessica Valente was temporary filling one of those spots,
Really?
but now they got two women, and I don't know, I can't remember their name, that are feminist jobs inside the NFL, and that's what they do 24/7.
It is so disgusting. I can't
Oh,
stomach it.
the lighter than air job, just sucking. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. So I guess so. There's some King David's from Australia. It looks like he's going to be tuning in, and then there's a Canadian. So I guess non-U.S. folks do watch the Super Bowl. That's good. What about you, Nimoy? Are you gonna go watch the Super Bowl?
Spock, I'm not Spock, the green-blooded hobgoblin. I'm a doctor.
He's a doctor. God.
Did I call you Spock? Yeah. Leonard. Yeah.
Oh, the Shining's on.
I don't watch sports.
You don't watch sports? A lot of MGTOWs don't watch sports. Is it the gynocentrism that bothers you?
No.
Or the white knighting sort of thing? Or the whole alpha?
More ableism.
Ableism? Okay. You can't imagine yourself doing it?
Not in this body.
Not in this body. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's hard to imagine. It's a hero worship a little bit to a point.
Yeah, for me, it's just. I mean, I don't not like sports. Like all. I mean, I respect and appreciate them, but
Oh yeah.
my sense is generally like, if I'm watching sports, I should probably be out playing them. That's just kind of. I feel like guilty.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just men doing what men do at their finest.
True.
The,
Yeah.
the beauty of when you watch
Male
an,
excellence.
an NFL player reach out, diving through the air at 21 miles an hour, which is probably the fastest, some of the fastest humans on this planet, 22,
Yeah.
23, 24 miles an hour, catching the ball with one hand, and then a big linebacker just smashing them and flipping them around 3 times in the air, and then he lands and holds on to the ball. That's quite a male feat. It's like, damn.
Absolutely. You gotta stand in awe.
Yeah, you just stand in awe. Men do beautiful things sometimes. I always often give this story. Even at my work, I've seen men do just hugely athletic, just beautiful things that were nobody else was going to see in the whole world, and everybody could appreciate it. I was sitting up on a crane once. We had these little. You had to clean the crane rails, the electric rails. So they called in the guys like me to do that, the electricians and everything, and we put new blocks in as we go. to keep the three-phase from shorting. And so you got your little thing, and you just clean it off a little. You put a block, and you move forward. But you're 100, 120 feet in the air on this little trolley above metal down there. And if you fall, you're dead. And I had my screwdriver, and the guy was on the next crane rail next to me, and I dropped my screwdriver. I was like, oh, fuck. And he goes, yep, Joe should tie a string around that. And I said, yeah, I know. And I didn't have another screwdriver, so I was going to have to take this half-hour trek back down the trolley, down the ladder, and then lower myself down, go get the screwdriver, and make the half-hour trek back up there. And what this guy did is he unhooked his trolley, he grabbed a hold, and he swung over to me, and he placed the screwdriver right on my cart, and then he swung back and landed back on his trolley. He's been doing this kind of work for so long. He felt so comfortable, 120 feet in the air. It was like an athletic feat of
Holy
excellence.
Shit.
A little tear ran down my eye. I was like, holy shit, did he just do that?
That's remarkable, man.
It's remarkable. And then you see these things at work all the time, men doing just, a guy, there's a barrel of oil, two guys are pushing, and one guy, the alpha walks up and grabs it, picks it up and carries it and puts it down for him. It's like, oh, that's 400 pounds, dude. No problem, That's beauty. It's beauty. It's beautiful.
It is beauty. That's beautiful maleness right there, yeah. That's the essence of what's great about men. Just right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys does any of you guys listen to Liberation Y channel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's real on cue, isn't he? He's like on the point. He's like very organized and well spoken, and he does that thing very, very good, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he just really speaks to, the goodness of men and males a lot. The valuation and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we forgot about in life. About when you watch a sporting event, sometimes there's nothing nothing sexual about it. There's nothing. You're just men doing the things that they're supposed to be doing out there. If we were cavemen, we'd be running around in the woods, jumping over logs, chasing down a beast that's 3 times our size.
Right. It would be awesome stuff. We might not be standing around watching each other do it, but it would still be awesome stuff.
Awesome. It's just that's what men do. That's what we're programmed to do. That's what we are. We've lost that.
And we're bringing it back, right, gentlemen?
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know if there's going to be a need for that, kind of great athletic ability. Well, in the arenas, there's always a need for it. Boxing and
right.
Sports and baseball, football, soccer. You can go out and witness that thing.
But the essence of it, you don't necessarily have to do any particular thing to be an awesome male. It's just masculinity isn't any particular.
No, you do that one thing you do best in the world. Totally, and that's if somebody's going to notice and go, man, that's beautiful what you do, because nobody else can do that.
That's right.
Find that one thing. We all have that one thing that we do that nobody else in the whole world can do as good as you.
Yeah. And
how are you guys doing? 2 hours in.
2 hours in, just
there he is, the Shining.
Just hanging.
But you guys making fun of the British crisps.
Crisps, yeah. You call them crisps over there. We call them chips, potato chips.
But it is an interesting thing, how American and English, they cross over. I mean, for example, if we can touch upon that. You know the slang word for donkey?
Ass or something.
It's ass, isn't it?
Ass,
but you also call a person's backside an ass, don't you?
An ass, yeah.
Okay, so how would you spell ass in both ways?
ASS. And I don't know why you guys put an R in there. I don't get that.
You guys put I often read that, and I go, are they just trying to be polite?
Okay, next one. Okay, in American, what is bum? What's a bum?
But a bum.
A bum can be
What's a bum?
a bottom, a behind, or it can be a slacker in society, which indicates usually a male a bum.
Okay, so if
Homeless.
somebody says to you guys, excuse me, gentlemen, I just need to go pinch a loaf. What do you think that he's trying to say?
Take a shit.
Yeah, take a dump, yeah.
Is that,
Okay.
is
Oh, guys. So when somebody says, when someone's talking about a fanny, what's he mean when he's talking about a fanny?
A fanny. Well,
it's a backside. It's an
a
ass as
backside,
well.
yeah. But I think it would indicate more of a female backside, wouldn't it?
Traditionally, yeah. Although they invented that fanny pack that I think was whatever.
Yeah, the fanny pack screwed it up for all men everywhere.
Oh my guys. Okay. So what happens if a guy does a cock up? What's happened?
A what?
A guy's done a cock up. All the girls, they've done a cock up.
Cock up?
I've never heard that.
I think that might be a British only.
Yeah.
Hey, Leonard Nimoy, do you know what a cock up is?
It's not safe to say online.
Okay, what do you think it is? What do you think a cock up is? Cock up is spelled C-O-C-K.
Oh, I know. It's a hard-on.
Yeah.
What do you think, Traversable? What's a cock up?
I wouldn't even know that one. It was
What does it sound like? I've done a cock up.
Well, if you wrote it down, I would see that it has the word in there. It would say, I would think it would be like a hard-on, like.
Sorry, guys.
Is that right?
Okay.
Is that right?
Last one. What am I doing if I spend a penny? I'm just going to spend a penny, gentlemen.
You're being cheap. You're being a cheap bastard.
What about you, Traversable?
Spend a penny.
Yeah.
Oh God, I would automatically think a penny earned, a penny saved. He's spending it. He's being frugal.
Not bad. So both similar. Okay, one last one. What happens if I kick the bucket? What have I done?
Yeah, dead.
Oh, it's too easy for you. You cheated with Nimoy there. But, yeah, just a bit of fun.
I'm not Spock. I'm a doctor, damn it.
I googled it. In all fairness, they're showing.
Oh, you cheated.
Did you Google it? Okay. Yeah, you guys got a lot of different sayings. I love that scene on what movie was it with Goldfinger when him and his father and they put subtitles in and they were talking British, and then it told you what they were saying in American.
Yeah, well, it's something I've observed. I think the more multicultural of us will know these little differences. Don't worry, guys. I'm observing your American language. I'm learning another language as well.
I like Eric says when he showed up shining, he says, "Oh shit, ISIS is here."
Oh, he thinks he's so clever, that recycled joke. Oh, I've not been called ISIS before. Honest.
Maybe that's not what he meant. I don't know.
No, he says it every time.
He is.
Eric, you're so cheap. Think of some new joke, you bum.
Yeah, you cheeky bastard, you.
A British sense of humor.
Yeah.
But it was really big in what was it? Benny Hill and Monty Python got really, really big in the United States for a while. It was huge. People just loved that kind of humor. Americans just loved it. It was kind of our first introduction to
Yeah,
British
that was strange
slang.
because a lot of the jokes are based around the British culture and the British slang and the British class system and the British establishment. So. It actually took, I think, was it like 5-6 years before the Monty Python finished in the UK, and then they started doing tours in America. So it was same as France as well. It didn't take off in France until something like 10 years after the Monty Python took off over in the UK. So
Yeah, we had to learn the language first.
Mm.
Yeah. We had to learn your English, your version of English.
Well, there's
Yeah.
English and Old English.
Yeah, there's old Shakespearean English.
What's the best form of English? Is it American, Australian, or British?
or Canadian.
Canadian.
It's
American,
standard.
Australian, Canadian, or Sandman.
Is there or South American Sandman? South American has an interesting accent down there, right? I'm not South
South.
America. I'm sorry, South Africa. They got a funny
Oh
English
yeah,
accent.
the Boers.
Yeah, it always
The
trips me
Boers.
out.
Yeah, they've got their own strange lingo and dialect and accent over there. Yeah, mind you, just within the UK, you've got something like 20 accents or something. You've got the Liverpudlian, the Geordie accent, which is in Newcastle. You've got the Cockney in London. You've got the Yorkshire, which is mine. You've got the Yorkshire accent, and then you've got your Irish and Scottish accent. Sorry, guys, I just have to jump out. Somebody's on the phone.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of accents over there. I'm always surprised how many different how different British people sound from different parts. I'm always like, wow, that's quite distinct.
Yeah, yeah. I had to switch off there for a second. Dougie was freaking out.
Oh, the dog.
Yeah, he was going nuts about somebody walked by the house.
It's the IRS. Just kidding.
Oh God, yeah. I hope they don't ever show up again. I have to share that someday on maybe I'll share it today on what that IRS lady said to me. She came to my house and they will track you down. And I wish I had what I have now. I have cameras in my house now for when guests come over. I turn them on so I can monitor everything that goes on in my house. Learned from having women in the house. But the
Nice.
IRS lady came over and she says to me, my wife, my ex-wife, scammed him out of $7,000. It turned into quite a bill. So she come over to my house and I was paying it, and I was paying it in small segments because that's what I can afford. And she says she's just here to make sure I wasn't living too well.
But
Yeah, that's what she said to me.
that's
She wanted them.
like when
What?
they do the checkups on my brother to make sure that he's getting Social Security. Yeah, younger brother, he's Social Security. They check up on him to make sure that he's still ill.
Yeah, to make sure he's not living too good, because it would be a shame if he ever, just got a come up and started living better than what they thought he should be living. And that's the way they think in the social services. And their job is to extract all the money they can from you. And if you owe them, you should be living like a peasant, like a plebe, like they'd say in British. You shouldn't be experiencing any happiness in your life until you've got your bill paid.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's the keep a man down until it's like a king situation. It's like you got to pay tribute to the king. You can't be happy until you make the king happy or something.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. It's so out of control now that they say one of the jobs in America that's the most dangerous is being an IRS person going out to people's houses because people shoot, and that's I can imagine if they started shooting more that this problem would end. But I don't think they send too many people out anymore since after 9/11 things changed and people just don't want to deal with these people. They can do it through the mail and seize your bank account now.
Right.
Well, in California, they have cops going out to make sure that you're vaccinated.
Oh yeah, the vaccination police.
Really?
Oh God, there's all sorts of police out there now. We got the IRS police, we have the vaccination police. In my neighborhood, we got the garbage police to make sure they come around and make sure everybody's paying for their garbage to get disposed, to make sure If you're make sure you're not burning your garbage or getting rid of it and other means or taking it to your company. Yeah, the garbage police will come out and they'll fine you. The water police will come out and make sure you're not distilling your own water or giving your own water.
Unbelievable.
Sure yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, my buddy, he stopped his garbage pickup, and he's like, Joe, maybe this is paranoid, but there's this guy following me around now, and I think he's from the city. And I said, oh, that's the garbage police.
No kidding?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't.
They're making sure he doesn't put his garbage in dumpsters somewhere, or he's not disposing of it illegally. Make sure he's not burning. You're allowed to burn in your backyard in my area, so you can do that. Good. You save yourself the $40 or $50. It's not that much, you know. I would just say pay it because it's not worth the pressure they're going to put on you. But
it sure is an erosion of our liberties. I mean,
yeah, they're going to send spies to your house to make sure you're yeah.
It's communist Russia. That's what we're turning into, man. It's tragic.
I remember back when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old, I had a Hispanic friend, and I didn't understand the difference between socialism in Mexico and in America. He had to explain it to me, and he said, Joe, imagine this. He says, this is the difference between the two countries. When your tree there in your yard gets overgrown, what do? And I said, well, we cut off the branches, we trim it back, and that way it doesn't fall into the neighbor's yard. He said, now in Mexico, what they do is the police chief sends his brother-in-law over, he cuts it down, and then he charges you for it. That's what our system's becoming. If your tree overgrows into your neighbor, he makes a complaint, they're going to come out, cut it down, and charge you for it. And we are becoming more and more socialist in that sense.
Very much so. Very much so. Maybe, we're pretty much already there with the litigation and the litigiousness. We've lost all our freedom, guys. It's pathetic. It's really sad. I guess what we should probably just do is go and watch the Super Bowl and then like pretend that none of it exists.
Yeah, I'll go watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, it is about that time, and we're running up on 2 hours here, and
it's freaking another awesome hangout, though.
It was another awesome
Great talking to you guys.
Another awesome Sunday hanging out. I appreciate all the guys showing up today, and we try to keep it real Mgtow around here and explain why we do these things that we do in case somebody's wandering through once in a while and just wants to take in a little how we think and why we do these things. And it was a good talk, guys. Thanks for coming in, Dr. McCoy.
Thank you. Hope to come back again.
Oh yeah. He's kind of experimenting with this. He wants to get more comfortable in this, and I know how hard it is getting comfortable in these situations. It was hard for me. I think I told you the story. The first hangout I went into was Shining, and then there was Messenger, but there was Barbarossa, there was Nico, there was Dark Knight, Tear Flinging Monkey, and I just, this was my first hangout, and I was like, oh God.
Wow. All the heavy hitters in one place.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm so outmatched here. But we get more comfortable with this, and a lot of people say, Joe, you'll talk 24/7 if no one shuts you up.
There's so much to say. There's lots to be said.
So, thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks McCoy. Thanks Male Feelings, and we will do this again someday soon.
Mgtow Nation, all roads lead to Mgtow, or what?
Hold on a second there, Rex.
He's dead, Jim.
Or he's dead, Jim.
Can you hold 1 second there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna shut this broadcast off and now.